Hello, I'm Nikki.
And I'm Jess.
She's the traumatized.
And she's the abandoned.
And
welcome to our podcast.
Holiday edition.
Whoop, whoop. Oh, it's coming out on Friday?
Yeah,
Are we here on a Friday? Hello.
Friday.
Hello, Fridays. And today we're doing a Christmas edition true crime. I am so excited. I always say that, damn it. All right, that's not in my script. That's literally not in my script. I'm just okay.
When we get merch one day, it's gonna be we talk about
so
murder,
excited.
and I'm so excited.
I'm so excited. We talk about natural disasters, and I'm so excited. We talk about deadly engineering.
Maybe we just need to put like a list of synonyms for excited on your script.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, we're gonna be doing Christmassy true crimes. So
holidays,
buckle in,
because this is coming out right before Christmas, in the middle of other holidays celebrations. So happy holidays.
Happy holidays, everybody. That's true. It's a holiday edition.
You can listen to us talk about murder on your way to your family gatherings. I'm sure that'll be super festive.
Uplifting. Yeah, for sure.
Get you in the mood.
Spread some cheer. Anyway, just a super disclosure though, our stories this week are intense. I mean, our stories are usually pretty intense, but these are involving children. So just as a heads up,
if you want to skip this one,
we won't hate you.
Yeah, go ahead. 'Cause I was halfway through my research and I wanted to skip this one. So
I mean, I'll only shed one tear if you skip this episode. It's fine.
Oh my God. Don't guilt trip our audience.
Oh, sorry. Wait, isn't that what holidays are about? Just kidding. Anyway, moving on.
We have great holiday experiences.
Yeah, it's not about guilt tripping each other into spending more time together. Okay, interesting. So, how was your week? Because we're still like halfway through December.
Yeah. So I received most of yours and Tim's presents.
That's really exciting.
And one of them I have to like work on every evening because I'm an artistic person. I don't know if you know that about me.
Yep.
And I like giving gifts that I make.
I love that
people
about
that are important to me. Sorry, Tim.
Yeah.
His gift he can make, so that's
Yeah, no. His is more hands-on. Yeah, no, yeah,
so,
for sure.
But yeah, so I'm working on a project that I have to like work on every evening, and sometimes Beanie is like, "You have to work on that now," and I'm like, "Okay, why can't I just relax for 5 seconds?" So that's mainly like every evening I've been working on that.
Yep.
Other than that, I had to take Beanie to get his other shot.
No.
But he did really well. So
nice.
We went to the store and picked out some toys. And then as a treat for myself, because I had to bring Beanie to the doctor by myself.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, I think I mentioned this on the podcast before. I have car driving anxiety. Like I have driving anxiety when I in a car.
Yeah, you were talking about Norfolk. You were talking about it.
Yeah. So the day that I had to take Beanie to the doctor, it was raining, of course. And so I'm not familiar with that part of our area. So I was unfamiliar with the area, even though, I've ridden in the car. It's different when you ride in the car versus driving in the car. You know what I mean?
100%. Yeah.
And it was raining, and it's a Beanie who he definitely remembered his doctor's visit because he did not want to go in the building, much less get in the car. But I got him in the car, and we went to the but anyways, so my treat for having to like deal with all that is I got to go to Barnes and Nobles and pick out a book and some Starbucks. So
oh my God, Starbucks and Barnes and Noble is like my dream.
Oh my gosh. And I got Beanie and I a Lego advent calendar at Barnes and Noble.
Oh my God, it looks so cute.
Because I've never done an advent calendar before.
Which is crazy to me. When you said that, I was like, wait, ever? Like, I do, like, that's crazy. You definitely need, I'm going to get you into one next. I think there's a wine advent calendar, right?
There was a White Claw advent calendar too. I saw like somebody. I think it was a sponsored advent calendar.
Oh, that makes sense. No, like I think it's like Sam's Club does like a wine advent calendar.
But yeah, so I got a Lego one for me and Beanie because I want to start a tradition. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we don't have a tree up, so I was like, since we don't have a tree this year, our advent calendar is going to be our main thing in the living room.
Oh my God, that's kind of adorable. That's cute.
Yeah. How was your week? Okay, next.
So the fun fact of the day. It was
Did a lot happen this week, or is it just yesterday?
It's a lot of work. No, work really. Not like my job. I love my job, but sometimes the things that I have to like read and deal with are like,
oh yeah. Okay, I remember.
Really hard on me.
People suck.
Yeah.
Don't do meth in general. And don't do meth when you're pregnant. Thank you. Also after you're pregnant, because meth is one of those things, like it gets in the walls and then the babies it's meth is a contact drug.
Yeah.
And the babies get, oh my God, I fucking meth.
Yep. So no, it was just really, it was one of those, like Thursday was one of those things where it's just like, okay, I'm done for the day, I'm cool. And then one other thing happened. It's like, okay, but really I'm good. I'm ready to go home.
Universe, I'm good.
I'm going home. And then I get to my car and I can't get in my driver's seat because some douchebag parked too close to me. So I have to crawl in through my passenger seat. And I'm like, okay, but really, I'm good. And then like yesterday was another one of those. Just like, oh my God, I'm so glad it's Friday. I'm so glad I'm crawling to the finish line. And then I go to get alcohol after work and my car gets declined. And I'm like, that's not valid. I know for a fact we have money. That's weird. And I check our bank account and our fucking electric company charged us like $800 for electricity last month, and it's usually like $120 on a bad month, like $800.
And this is the second time they've done this to you as
well.
The
last time was like right before spring, and but that was only like only $500. Like this is just my thought process is like, what in their system is doing that unless it's a person doing it? Like I don't know. So confused. I don't know. And then I tried to call them as I was like sobbing. I tried to call them and they kept me on hold until like 5 minutes before they closed, and they hung up on me, and I was just like, okay. So that's how my week went. It was
insane to me. Like, because how does a one, if it's $100, how does a one turn into an 8? They're not even close to each other on a keyboard. Like,
and like that, not only that, but it fucked a lot of shit up, like financially. Like, so their mistake, which it is their mistake, but I'm like, how are they going to reverse all the other damage that they done? Like, they won't be able to. So I mean, I think something that, like, super grateful we have jobs. We are able to deal with it. We have tons of food. You know what I mean? It's not like this is, and it's a really good place to be where you get hit with an $800 whatever, and you're like, you know what? We're not going to die. It might be a little tight for a week, but we're not going to die. Everything's going to be fine. Take a deep breath. I took a couple shots, got in a shower, and played some D&D.
Apparently a couple is like a lot. I didn't even know.
I was very quiet. Actually, what do you mean you didn't know? My character swan dove off of the balcony to land on. I hit somebody with the troll. Like, you just thought I was in character. I love that.
Honestly,
like chaos reigns supreme. That it was whiskey, and I'm not usually like a whiskey drinker, I think it was like a different drunk too. I mean, not that I was ever drunk. I was definitely tipsy at some points. Yeah,
just feeling good. Which is probably what you needed.
Not crying. So
you weren't crying? Okay.
No. Well, at that point.
We had gotten past the crying.
Anyway, also just a quick shout out. Our makeup today, we did good.
We did great. I hope.
I mean, yours looks amazing.
I love yours.
So yeah,
we're each other's makeup right now.
Seriously? No, because my stupid hooded eyes, you can't even freaking see half of it.
I can see it. It makes your eyes pop. It makes my eyes look black. These are not my colors.
These are not. These aren't my colors either. I mean, green. Okay, yeah, green I do wear, but not red.
My eye color is like gray, hazel, like green, and they literally look black right now.
I don't think they look black.
They're pretty dark right now.
They are dark, but that's like sultry and like sexy, you know?
Okay. Moving on. What's the fun fact of the day?
Okay. Did you know that Friends, the show, is still well loved, airs on many channels, and is still branded on merchandise today? The cast still receives a % of everything that the show makes, resulting in each of the main 6 characters getting a check for around $20 million a year to this day.
What? From merchandise?
And like in the reruns and stuff. Yeah.
Wow. That's insane.
I did not know that. I was like, oh, they're still making money. Are we ready? I don't know if we're ready.
I don't know if we're ready. Again, disclaimer, if you don't want to hear about children getting hurt, skip today's episode. And we'll see you after the holidays. Hopefully you have a wonderful holiday.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so my story is gonna be a rough one, and it's gonna be kind of like all over the place, but just hang in there with me, okay?
We're gonna hang in there.
Just grab my hand, and I'll be the one like running and tugging you along the
Take
story.
my hand. Take my hand. We're gonna go. Take it.
Yeah, it's best if you buckle up right now with everything that you got. Just all of the buckles.
Double buckle.
All the buckles.
All right, I'm buckled. I'm ready. Okay, let's go.
All right, so this story, when I looked up stories to talk about like true crime, like Christmas stories or whatever, this story was actually called the Christmas Rampage.
Okay.
And so my story actually starts on December 28th, a few days after Christmas in 1987. Are we ready?
All right. I don't know if I'm ready. You were sending me messages all week saying how I wasn't ready. So I'm not ready. No, I'm not. But here we are.
Not ready. Okay. At 10:13 a.m., Ronald Gene Simmons pulled into the parking lot of the law offices of Richard Peel and David Eddy in the town of Russellville, Arkansas. Simmons walked into the door and pulled a pistol from his pocket and aimed it at the law office's secretary, Kathy Kendrick. Gene missed his first shot, but then Gene fired 4 .22 hollow point bullets into Kathy's skull. So if you guys don't know what hollow point bullets are, it's basically like when they impact, they kind of explode, if that makes sense. They break into a million pieces so that they do more damage.
Okay.
Makes sense. So it's not just a single bullet.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it goes in there and explodes.
Don't, because I didn't know what hollow points were until my husband was like, I have a pistol that has hollow points. And I was like, what are hollow points? And yeah.
I thought they were like illegal in some states.
I think they are in some states.
Yeah. Because they fuck up. Especially like you don't want to like go hunting with that, because then it like explodes and then you're eating.
Yeah, it damages all the meat.
Yep.
She died later that day in the hospital. He did all this without ever saying a word, and he simply left after shooting Kathy, leaving witnesses behind.
What? Okay.
Gene then made his way down Main Street toward Taylor Oil. At Taylor Oil, Gene spotted Rusty Taylor sitting at his desk and fired 2 shots from just outside the office door. Even at that distance, his shots met its mark, hitting Rusty twice in the left chest. Gene at the time failed to see a customer/friend of Rusty who was also in the office but was sitting like against the wall, so he couldn't see him, leaving yet another witness to his crime.
What the fuck?
As Gene was leaving, he saw the loading dock doors swing open. A man named Jim Chaffin, a 34-year-old part-time employee and firefighter, walked through the door. Without hesitation, Gene fired point blank, shooting Jim through the eye. Jim died where he fell. So it's very, very quick for Jim.
We should have a kill counter.
We
somewhere. We should. This is insane. Okay.
As Jim's body sank to the floor, Simmons heard movement behind him and whirled around, firing a single shot on instinct. Luckily, the bullet flew over the head of first-day employee Julie Money.
Oh no.
Who had come out of the bathroom, and she dropped behind some crates to hide. Julie then ran and called the police. Later, when questioned, Julie noted that Gene, again, never spoke a word.
What the fuck? Why? I don't understand.
Then Gene made his way to the Sinclair Mini Mart, where he caused some havoc at the convenience store. When Gene arrived, he saw Roberta Woolery staring out the window at the passing patrol cars, pursuing the utter chaos throughout the town. Because at this point, you know,
right,
calls have been coming in, and so
oh my god,
the police cruisers are basically behind him, going spot to spot.
Jesus.
David Slayer was drinking coffee at the back of the store with Tony Carta. Sawyer was the current owner of the mini mart. So he walked in, and Simmons fired across the room at a range of 35 feet. David had seen him raise the pistol and instinctively ducked, and the bullet missed him. Roberta dove for the telephone as the other two took cover. Gene was only 6 feet from Roberta and saw her. He fired 2 shots. One bullet grazed her shoulder, but the other bullet hit her in the mouth, like in the chin area.
Oh my god.
Gene then turned back to David, but David put up a fight. He grabbed a chair and stood all the way up and then charged across the store, shouting, "Get out of here, you son of a bitch," as he ran. Gene paused at this event, but still fired a shot that bounced off the chair and hit David in the head. David threw the chair at Gene, then collapsed to the floor. I looked over and saw your face.
Is this all with the pistol?
He had 2 pistols and a shit ton of ammo. Like, so much ammo.
Holy fuck. Dude is like back in the couch. Jesus. Okay. Oh my god.
So David fell. Tony grabbed a like nearby like 6-pack of soft drinks and like started throwing that at Gene. So he's literally just like throwing shit at Gene, yelling at him to get out. And Gene departed while firing like wildly at the items that were being thrown at him.
Jesus.
Roberta called the police at 10:39, just 26 minutes after Gene had parked his car in the Peel and Eddy law office parking lot.
Jeez. Okay.
But we're not done. Gene then ran back to his car and made his way to his final destination, Woodline Motor Freight. Gene stuffed his Ruger pistol into a paper bag and carried it while he kept his right hand on the gun in his jacket pocket. Gene entered the administrative offices at Woodline and walked up to Joyce Butts, who was sitting at her desk. He fired 2 shots that hit her in the head and chest. After that, Gene walked into an office where he came face to face with Vicky Jackson. Surprisingly, Gene surrendered to Vicky, handing over one of his guns, and had her call the police. Police Chief Johnston, unarmed, walked into the front offices while his partner, Major Stobog, don't know which one, entered from the rear loading dock. I believe they were both unarmed, so they basically wanted to seem non-threatening.
Right. Okay.
They successfully got Jean into custody without anyone else getting hurt. Jean gave the chief of police the name James Johnson as his own. So that kind of caused some confusion at the beginning.
Okay. Right.
They brought Jean to the police station where Major Stoba tried to interrogate Jean, but he refused to answer officers' questions about what he had done and why. But by the time they had Jean transferred to a more secure facility, they had his true identity. He used to work at Woodline, and the people at the mini mart and Vicky knew who he was, so they gave them his real name.
The identification.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. They identified his ass.
So they transferred him to a new facility. Investigator Jim Hardy faced the depressing task of making the trip to notify Simmons' family of the arrest and to interview Mrs. Simmons because maybe they have an idea of why he would do this.
Went nuts.
Hardy pulled up to the house just after 12:30 p.m., a little over 3 hours after Jean had opened fire on Kathy. In the yard were several vehicles. Hardy called in the tags and confirmed that they belonged to various members of the Simmons family. Hardy, though, had an uneasy feeling because it seemed like no one was home. There was like no movement, and all the windows were locked and shaded.
Oh no.
The doors were locked and boarded up.
Oh no.
And there was no smoke coming from the chimney, though that seemed to be the only source of heat for the entire home.
I'm not gonna like this, am I?
Hardy drove back and reported everything he found, more like what he didn't find. And though Simmons did not give permission to search his home, under the circumstances, the sheriff and officers raced back to the home in fear that the family was also shot.
Right. Oh no.
So they get back up to the house. 14 members of the Simmons family was found in various places on what I would describe as a homestead.
14?
So the homestead was located by the town Dover, Arkansas, in the Arkansas Valley Hills, which is close to the Boston Mountains. How it was described is like this little area was like a middle ground between the mountains and a valley.
Okay.
So they were up on a hill. The 13-acre piece of land was known as Mockingbird Hill by the family and contained a home made from 2 trailer homes put into one, basically.
Okay.
And there was no indoor plumbing, and there were like a couple spots for outhouses. So like I think they had an outhouse, but they had dug out 2 other plots to put in more outhouses or new outhouses, whichever they were planning.
Okay.
From me, it sounded very much like a homestead off the grid kind of situation going on here.
Right.
Here we go.
Is this where we buckle?
Yes.
Okay.
The officers were able to get into the home by one of them climbing through the only unlocked window and then unlocking the sliding door. So Jean had basically shaded all the windows, locked everything, put a piece of like wood in between the sliding doors so they couldn't open, and then climbed out the window. And then the officer was able to climb in the same window that he climbed out of.
Jeez.
In the dining room, they discovered Sheila Simmons McNulty, the eldest daughter, 24, and her husband, Dennis McNulty, 34, both shot in the face. Sheila was shot 6 times. Each were covered with their own jackets. In the living room next to the dining room, they discovered William, or Billy Simmons II, the third born. So they had 7 children.
Okay.
So Billy was the third born.
Okay.
Sheila was the second born, if that makes sense. She was the eldest daughter, but second born.
Gotcha.
So
okay.
Billy was 22, and his wife, Renata Simmons, was 21.
Okay.
William was shot twice in the head and covered with a blanket, and his wife was shot 7 times in the head and neck. Found in the smallest of the 4 bedrooms was Sylvia Gail McNulty, 7 years old, face down in the bed. She was strangled. Her relationship to Jean will be discussed later. That's all who was found in the house. So the officers had to search the woods for the rest of the family when they came upon a plot of loose dirt. approximately 6 feet long and 3 to 4 feet wide. It seemed to have been dug for a new outhouse. Like I had said, they had a few.
Mm-hmm.
But the plot now had been covered with sheets of corrugated tin, which, if you don't know what that is, it's like the tin sheets that are like zigzagged. Does that make sense?
No, nothing makes sense anymore.
So it's covered with the tin and reeked of kerosene. At about 10 inches in of digging, there was a mass of barbed wire that had been put down.
No.
And it was like so heavy that they had to get a truck to pull it out.
Jesus.
And then the officers did about another foot of digging. So just 22 inches deep from the surface was the officers' worst fear. The first body they uncovered was that of Rebecca Lynn Simmons. And she was the youngest daughter and the last child. She was 8 years old and had been strangled.
Can we just not the strangling, please?
It was said that she even still had a piece of chewing gum in her mouth. Next to her was her sister Marianne Simmons, who is the sixth born, so just a little bit older than her, at 11 years old, also strangled. And under them was their older sister Loretta.
Sorry, go on.
It's okay. It's not gonna get better.
What do you mean?
And under them was their older sister Loretta Simmons at 17, also strangled.
Okay.
So while the bodies were being pulled from the mass grave, other officers were searching the rest of the property when they came across some abandoned cars. 100 yards west and 120 feet north of the home were two cars. They were like older cars, like abandoned, like, you know, used for scrap.
Yeah.
Just buckle up.
Fuck.
In the trunk of one of them, they found William H. Trey Simmons III. He was 20 months old. The son of Billy and Renata.
I did my makeup for this episode. What are you doing? I'm crying.
His body was found inside a green trash bag that was sealed with tape. He was strangled.
You didn't trigger warn me.
I'm really crying. I did trigger warn you. I'm sorry.
And now keep going.
I'm
fine.
shaking. I hate this so much.
Okay, you're fine.
In the trunk of the other car, they found Michael McNulty, 21 months, the son of Sheila and Dennis.
Fuck.
He was found, like his cousin, inside a green trash bag that was sealed with tape. He was also strangled.
Just go, please. Just go, please.
Okay.
Just go.
Back at the mass grave, next to be uncovered was Eddie Simmons, 14, the fifth born child. He was strangled as well. Next was Barbara Simmons, 3, and her father, Ronald Gene Simmons Jr., 26, the eldest son. Barbara being strangled, and Ronald Jr. was shot once in the chest and 4 times in the face at close range.
But
he was also struck in the back of the head with a blunt object. Last to be pulled from the mass grave was Bersabe Rebecca, or she went by Becky Simmons, 46, and Jean's wife. She was shot twice in the face at close range.
Like, I just don't understand. I don't understand the different, like, why strangle some and shoot some? Like, why switch it up? Why are you...
So the pattern is he strangled all the children and shot all the adults.
Strangling is so fucking personal, and I don't understand this. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to.
That's the discovery of everything.
Okay.
We're done there. So you can take a second.
Yeah. It's just fucking
Yeah. Like
It like this week too, just fucking
sorry.
nope, not your fault.
What's insane to me is I have never heard of this case.
I haven't either.
And it's
I haven't either.
literally insane.
Mm.
So, my next section, I have it titled as "Do we care about Gene?" And my answer is no.
I mean, here's the thing. I care about his death. I care about slow torturing.
Basically. Long story short, Gene was an awful person even as a child. He was mean, manipulative person who would bully his younger brother. Like, he was just an awful person all around from start to finish. Okay, that's his backstory.
Are we supposed to feel sorry for him? Yeah, no.
Yeah, no.
You're trash.
No.
Oh my God.
So he met and married Becky while he was in the Navy. Then he re-enlisted into the Air Force. The family moved a lot due to the military, but through it all, Gene refused to let the family have a phone, and he would be abusive to Becky. So basically, he was cutting the family off from the world, and he was very controlling, manipulative, and he would be abusive towards Becky.
Wow. Okay.
Eventually, the family ended up in New Mexico on a property called Wills Canyon. And Gene liked the off the grid, in nature kind of living kind of thing. When he was growing up, his stepfather like moved the family to like an off the grid place, and that's where he found his like niche. Like, he loved living like that, and he wanted the same thing for his kids. So
gotta force your kids into your lifestyle.
Yeah. He retired from the Air Force in December of 1979. Gene would work his kids hard trying to make the Wills Canyon an attractive real estate, basically like labor camps for his children, trying to develop this property however he wanted to develop it. Becky gave birth to their final child in 1979, but the doctor suggested that Becky get her tubes tied because another pregnancy would definitely be fatal to her. Which Gene, shocking, did not agree with this because, I don't know.
Because why?
Because he liked having children? I don't know. It's weird. Weird vibes. Bad vibes.
Like, yeah, like children versus your wife.
Anyways, so Becky did it despite Gene's fucking
good.
But this caused Gene to like lose his attraction towards her.
Fucking good. Bye. Asshole.
Not good.
Oh, it's not good. Oh.
Unfortunately, this caused a huge rift in the marriage, and Gene began to cast a roving eye, which landed on their teenage daughter, Sheila. It does not get better.
What do you mean?
In 1980, he acted upon his feelings and sexually assaulted Sheila, and that was just the beginning of his torment of her. And eventually, Sheila would become pregnant. Little Gene, who is the firstborn, so the family calls him Little Gene. I think in the body discovery, I called him Ronald Jr., but for the rest of the story, he's Little Gene. So he's the eldest. Reported this to the social services because he didn't think it was right. Obviously, incest is not okay. But later remained silent due to his mother and his sister begging him to not say anymore. But the ball was already rolling. Like, he started it.
It's one of those things where if you like start, you can't just like, oops, takesy backsies. Like, no. Like, no.
And there's there's a lot of detail I'm keeping out of this. A lot of my information was from a book that had pretty much a lot of shit. So this is very summarized. Basically, Sheila ended up confessing to a caseworker in her principal's office that the child was her father's. But legal action on Jean was suspended. Instead, the family was to undergo counseling sessions.
Oh, counseling. That'll help. What? What do you mean? What do you mean?
Jean went along with the sessions to avoid arrest. Basically, Jean was proud of his incest and said that the incest would have no repercussions on the family or Sheila. He was proud.
All right, you didn't have to say it again.
He was so delusional.
I'm going to take the heads off if you say it again. Why? What?
And later, Sheila would give birth to Sylvia Gale. So Sheila's 7-year-old daughter was actually his granddaughter and daughter. Jean found out that what he said in the counseling sessions could be used against him and basically fled by the time that the arrest warrant was issued. So he basically found out that whatever he said in the counseling sessions, which he was basically bragging about his incest, could be used against him in a court of law. And so basically this is the justice system moving too slow kind of situation.
And like, okay, never mind. I have comments on that, but nope, keep going.
So they fled. By the time the officer went up to the home for the arrest warrant, it was deserted. The family ended up at Mockingbird Hill. One by one, though, the older children married, including Sheila, having disclosed the nature of her daughter to her husband. So one by one, the older children started getting married and going off, living their own lives. Sheila told her husband before they got married about Sylvia, and he didn't go running. He stayed there, and he basically became her protector. He was a very good person. Becky was also thinking about leaving Jean and getting her freedom back. So basically, Jean was losing control of his family.
Right.
In a major way. And because he could feel his family slipping away, Jean began making a plan of his own. So we're going to go into that. On December 21st, little Jean, so the eldest, arrived for the holidays, having dropped his daughter off earlier in the year to work on his marriage. Little Jean and his wife had gotten a divorce, but they wanted to work on it. So earlier, I think September or November, somewhere in there, he dropped off their daughter so that they could work on their marriage. On Christmas Eve morning, it is believed that Jean quietly strangled Loretta, Eddie, Marianne, and Rebecca Lynn. Then he shot little Jean and Becky. He also strangled little Jean's daughter, Barbara, and buried all 7 in the mass grave. On December 26, Jean ambushed Billy, Renata, Sheila, and Dennis as the two families arrived separately on Mockingbird Hill.
Oh my God.
And he left their bodies where they had fallen. He then strangled his grandchildren, Sylvia, Gail, Michael, and Trey. He placed the grandsons in the cars I spoke about earlier, and Sylvia was found in the bedroom, I believe. Then, on December 28th, Jean committed his rampage through Russellville. Starting with...
Did he just not get enough? Did he want to get... Sorry, you're getting there.
I'm going to get to it.
I know.
So,
I'm trying.
Because at the beginning, it seems like he just did it, shot a bunch of random people.
Right.
They were not random. Starting with Kathy Kendrick, whom he previously worked with at Woodline Motor Freight. Jean made advances on Kathy, and she refused him and reported him to their boss, Joyce Butts. He blamed both of them for him quitting his job.
Of course it was their fault that you quit your job. No, for sure.
I'm glad you got onto that.
Fuck.
Like I said earlier, Kathy did not survive her injuries. Jean went after Rusty Taylor because he was the old owner of the mini mart where Jean held a part-time job. So he worked at the Woodline full-time, and then he would work on the weekends at the Mini Mart part-time. Gene had made a statement in November that Rusty had spoken ill of Gene, and Gene wanted to get even. Rusty survived his injuries. Jim Chaffin just happened to be at the wrong place at the very most wrong time. He was the only stranger that was killed by Gene.
Okay. Sorry, Jim.
Yeah. It is unclear as to why exactly he went to the Mini Mart, other than the fact that he quit his job there on December 18th.
Maybe he was looking for somebody and they weren't there, so he left. You know what I mean? Oh, I mean, he did get chased out by soda cans.
But David Salyer, Tony Carter, and Roberta Woolery all survived the ordeal and their injuries.
Well, at least there's that, I guess.
He had targeted Joyce Butts because of what I said earlier. She was the one who reprimanded him for his inappropriate, inappropriate advances on Kathy. Joyce also survived her injuries as well.
Okay,
so
Harry,
for the rampage. I'm sorry I kept you in that suspense, but for the rampage, only Kathy and Jim died out of the many that he shot.
Okay, I mean, that's still insane, but I mean.
So we're going to get into the trials. Gene was tried for the Russellville killing first, with the trial beginning on May 9th of 1988. The trial lasted for 4 days, and on May 12th, the jury found Gene guilty of the murders of Kathy and Jim. The jury recommended a sentence of death plus 147 years. Gene was able to give a statement.
Oh.
But I would like to read you it.
I mean, okay, here we go. It's fine. Ugh.
This made me so angry. Are you ready? My statement is that if the jury renders the most proper and just and wise sentence of death, in this case, I, Ronald G. Simmons Sr., want it to be known that it is my wish and my desire that absolutely no action by anybody be taken to appeal or in any way change the sentence. He then waited for a moment for the crowd to recover from shock and continued. It is further respectfully requested that this sentence to be carried out expeditiously. I want no action that will delay, deny, defer, or denounce this very correct and proper sentence. My attorneys have repeatedly counseled me to appeal. However, that is not what I want. I believe now and have always believed in the death penalty. To those who oppose the death penalty, I say in my particular case, anything short of death would be a cruel and unusual punishment. Fuck you. You don't get to decide that. That was me. Anyways, I am of sound mind and body, and I have been seen by psychoanalysts who can verify that I am capable of making a clear and rational decision. I have given clear and careful thought and consideration, so there is nothing that will cause me to change my mind. I only ask for what I deserve. Let the torture and suffering in me end. Please allow me to rest. Please allow me the right to be at peace.
No.
Like, no, dude. No.
That is the most narcissistic move I've ever seen in my fucking life, because he knows he's gonna die. So what he does is he's like, fuck you guys, I choose death, so you can't punish me. Like literally, like he takes his punishment and makes it his own idea, and then he's like, you can't hurt me now because this is what I want. I'm going to vomit. Oh my god.
I told you this dude was awful. We have only a little bit left because
I don't know.
Basically what that
something after this.
Basically what that statement said is he waived his right to appeal.
Yeah.
And the judge upheld the jury's decision, and the execution date was set for June 27th. However, there were last minute appeals that pushed the execution to August 9th, 1988. There was a lot of like political and jargon. I'm just giving you the meat and potatoes because we don't care.
Potatoes. We just want the meat and potatoes. That's it.
So the new date was August 9th, 1988, but it was stayed again for the fact that Gene may not have been competent. Basically, they were trying to decide if he was competent, if he wasn't competent, blah, blah, blah. But a judge found that he understood what he had done. But because of the delay, justice for the killings on Mockingbird Hill could move forward. So they had a second trial. It ended on February 10th with the jury finding Jean guilty and recommended the death penalty as well. And a new date was set for March 16th, 1989. This date again was delayed, but finally on June 25th, 1990, almost 2.5 years, justice would be served. His last meal was a well-done filet mignon, raw onion and sliced tomato, cheese, dinner rolls, and a banana with a 7-Up to drink. Anywho, yep. So he was taken to the chamber and he was allowed to make a statement. Would you like to know what his last words were?
Not really. I'm nauseous. Like, my color is drained from my face. I'm really glad I'm wearing blush right now. Oh my God. Okay.
I want to say just a few words. Justice. Are you ready?
Sorry.
Justice delayed. Finally done is justifiable homicide. I have no idea what that means. But at 9:19 p.m., Gene Simmons was pronounced dead. None of Gene's family claimed his body. No one. Like his brothers and sisters, like no one.
Nope.
And he was buried in a pauper's grave, which is basically a grave paid
like
for,
a no name, right?
At the public's expense for. And that's it. That's my story. That's the Christmas Rampage. I hated this case, but
you did so well on it too. Because like, shout out to you. Like, you actually went out and like purchased a book and shit for it. Like, you did so much research, and that was a lot. That was a fucking lot.
Yeah,
that was a lot.
I hate this case, but I'm like,
wow,
I'm mad that more people don't know about it, because
I know that's actually insane. I have never heard of this.
The poor
and it happened.
Babies in this.
I know.
Like, they did nothing wrong. Like, oh my God,
I know.
It's just an awful person.
Yeah.
Fuck that dude. So hard.
That's horrible. Oh my God.
Do you want to take a break?
Maybe. Like 5 minutes. I don't think I've ever screwed you up. I mean, to be fair though, like after my stories were done, so
yeah. Maybe you should have gone first.
I said that because you at least know mine. Like, prepare. I was not
prepared.
I was not expecting it to go there.
Yeah.
I think I like pulled a muscle because I was like, so much. Okay.
Like, I've had to deal with this case every night.
I don't know how.
Week.
I don't know how you did that. I would not be able to do that.
And like I said, at the back of the book are all of the autopsies, all of them in detail.
No. Okay. I'm gonna talk about. No, that story was insane. Thank you for sharing. I do think it's really interesting that I've never heard that. And I'm kind of interested to see if our viewers / listeners have ever heard that either, because that's kind of crazy.
Very.
Yeah. So my story is going to be about the JonBenet Ramsey case, which I think if you have any interest in true crime, you probably already kind of know about a little bit, if not a lot. But I thought it was worth repeating, and it definitely happened on Christmas. It's one of the most well-known Christmas cases. So you did one that like nobody knows and should know about, and I'm doing one that everyone kind of probably knows. But I actually learned a couple new things. So hopefully, you guys do too.
I think this is one of like the greater like true crime mysteries.
Yeah, for sure. So we're gonna get into that too. All right, so I'm going to, like I said, you guys might already know the story, but hopefully if you do, I can shed some more. If you don't, we're going to just go all in. So buckle up. Okay. JonBenet Ramsey was a 6-year-old child beauty queen. In the early morning hours of December 26th, 1996, John and Patsy Ramsey awoke to find their 6-year-old daughter missing from her bed in their home of Boulder, Colorado. Patsy and John had woken up early to prepare for a trip when Patsy discovered a ransom note on the stairs demanding $118,000 for their daughter's safe return. That's a really weird number.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of number. That's a lot of, well, that's in 1996 too.
Yeah.
that's like even more.
Yeah.
But like also that's a very specific number.
118,000. Maybe a house. Maybe they're trying to buy a house.
Fun fact, that amount will later correspond with a bonus that JonBenet's father had recently received.
Interesting.
Right?
Red flag?
Yep. Something. So despite the note's warning to not involve police, Patsy immediately called them, as you should, as well as friends and family in order to aid in the search for JonBenet Ramsey. Police arrived at 5:55 a.m. and found no signs of forced entry, but they didn't search the basement, which is where the body would eventually be found. 8 hours later, the child's body was found in the basement of the house. Before JonBenet's body was ever even found, there were many investigative mistakes made. Many.
Yeah, this is one of those botched cases.
Oh my God, so bad.
So horrifically bad.
Only JonBenet's room was cornered off, so friends and family roamed the rest of the house, picking up things, potentially destroying evidence. The Boulder Police Department also shared evidence that they found with Ramsey's and delayed conducting their informal interviews with the parents. So that's too fucking huge. Like, there were people just trouncing all over this house, friends and family. And there's like a statistic that like if anything ever happens, it's like it's something like 80% like they're family friends or something, right? It's like something crazy high. At 1 p.m., the detectives instructed Mr. Ramsey and a family friend to go around the house to see if anything was amiss. The first place they looked was the basement, and that's where they found the body. So the detectives didn't even find her. John Ramsey immediately picked up his daughter's body and brought her upstairs, which destroyed any potential evidence because they disturbed the crime scene. Like,
this case infuriates me so much.
Because, like, okay, so first of all, they didn't search the entire house. Second of all, they allowed people in to move things around. The only thing that was cordoned off was her bedroom, and she was not in her bedroom. The police then instruct the dad, who for all they know was the person who did it, to go around and look and see if anything's missed. And then the dad, in a panic, sees his daughter and picks her up and fucks up all the evidence.
Yeah, because like, if as a parent, you see your child on the floor, what is your first instinct? You're gonna go
grab him and hold him. Absolutely.
Like,
there's no way in hell you're not doing that.
They should not have had him search at all. The investigator,
and the fact they didn't check the freaking bed, like the basement first.
They didn't check anything first.
No. Like, and then they sent people around to do their, like, oh, okay.
Like, I get that it was, like, the day after Christmas. So, like, everybody was probably on vacation. But, like, you have one job. Like, I'm not even an investigator. And I know you secure the scene and search. Right?
Yeah.
Get everybody out of the house and search it top to bottom for evidence. Like, this case makes me so angry. It's so bad. How do you fuck up so bad?
all the fuck ups. Like, it wasn't just one, it was like continuous.
It's so bad.
Okay, so this is we're gonna go into JonBenet. So if you're still here, we're gonna go into like injuries and shit like that. So if you want to skip ahead 5 minutes, I'm gonna go in a little bit of detail. You might not like, but I'm gonna make Nikki listen to it. So after what she just put me through,
I mean, fair.
Yeah. So during the autopsy, it was discovered that JonBenet Ramsey had died from asphyxiation due to strangulation, in addition to a skull fracture. Her mouth had been covered up in duct tape. Her wrist and neck were wrapped in a white cord, and her torso had been covered in a white blanket. Okay, so there was no conclusive evidence of rape, as there was no semen found on the body. However, her bottom half had appeared to have been wiped clean, as though a sexual assault had occurred. The makeshift garret was made using a length of cord and part of a paintbrush from the basement. And the coroner also found what was believed to be pineapple in her stomach. Her parents do not remember giving her any the night before she died, but there was a bowl of pineapple in the kitchen, which had her 9-year-old brother's Burke's fingerprints on it. However, this meant little since time cannot be attributed to fingerprints. But yeah, just interesting. The Ramseys maintained that her brother Burke was in his room all night asleep, and there was never any physical evidence to reflect otherwise.
Not that the police would friggin' know.
They would never have found it. But we're going to go into 2 popular theories for the Ramsey case, the family theory and then the intruder theory. So the initial investigation focused heavily on the Ramsey family for many reasons. The police felt that the ransom note was staged, as it was unusually long, written using a pen and paper from the Ramseys' house, and demanded almost the exact amount of money that John had received as a bonus earlier that year. That was super suspicious. Additionally, the Ramseys were reluctant to cooperate with police.
Interesting.
Though they later said this was because they feared the police would not conduct a full investigation and target them as easy suspects. I mean, I could see it both ways. It's like, if they're going to do that shitty of a job investigating, I don't know if I would necessarily trust them, but also, you guys are looking super sus.
Yeah.
So all 3 members of the immediate family were questioned by investigators and submitted handwriting samples to compare to the Ramsey letter. Both John and Burke were cleared of any suspicion of writing the note. Although much was made that Patsy could not conclusively cleared by her handwriting sample, this analysis was not further supported by any other evidence. So the closest handwriting may have been Patsy's, but any further evidence was like, nah, she didn't do this. So despite a larger pool of suspects, the media immediately focused on JonBenet's parents, and they spent years under harsh limelight of the public eye. So not only was their daughter murdered in their own house, they are also blamed for it for years. In 1999, a Colorado grand jury voted to indict the Ramseys on child endangerment and obstruction of a murder investigation. However, the prosecutor felt that the evidence did not meet the beyond a reasonable doubt standard and declined to prosecute. They wanted to indict them, but they were like, dude,
not enough evidence because you did a shitty ass job. Anyways,
JonBenet's parents were never officially named as suspects on the murder. Alternatively, the intruder theory had lots of physical evidence to support it. There was a boot print found next to JonBenet's body, which did not belong to anyone in the family. There was also a broken window in the basement, which was believed to be the most likely point of entry for any intruder. Additionally, there was DNA from drops of blood from an unknown male found on her underwear.
I don't
The
know.
floor. I don't know.
Like, the thing,
I don't know.
I don't know if I can trust the evidence because they had how many
right,
people
because it might have been planted. It could have been planted.
It could have been planted. How many people did they have walking all over the house? Like, I don't know. I don't know. Anyways, continue.
The floors in the Ramseys' home were heavily carpeted, making it plausible for an intruder to have carried JonBenet downstairs without waking the family. One of the most famous suspects was John Carr. Now, John Carr was arrested in 2006 when he confessed to killing JonBenet by accident after he drugged and sexually assaulted her.
She had no drugs in her system, did she?
Carr was eventually dismissed as a suspect after it was revealed that no drugs had been found in JonBenet's system. Police could not confirm that he was in Boulder at the time, and his DNA did not match the profile generated from samples found.
Okay.
Most of the recent investigation in the case revolves around the DNA profiles developed from the samples found in her underwear and the touch DNA later developed from her long johns, so on her clothing. The profile from her underwear was entered into CODIS, which is the National DNA Database, in 2003, but no matches have been identified. The death of JonBenet remains unsolved, although the family members have struggled to solve the mystery and clear their names. The Boulder Police Department is still investigating the cold case and says it has looked into leads from more than 21,000 tips, letters, emails, and traveled to 19 states to speak to more than 1,000 people about this case.
That's insane.
In 2010, the case was officially reopened and renewed with a renewed focus on DNA samples. This is what I actually watched, like the special, because her dad came and was like begging people to like take it seriously. Further testing has been conducted on samples, and experts now believe that a sample is actually from 2 individuals rather than 1.
Interesting.
Yeah. 2016, it was announced that the DNA would be sent back to Colorado Bureau of Investigation to be tested using a more modern methods, and authorities hoped to develop an even stronger DNA profile for the killer. In that same year, and this is what I watched, the CBS aired the case of JonBenet Ramsey, which implied that her 9-year-old brother, Burke, was a killer, despite the fact that he was cleared by DNA evidence that proved the existence of the intruder. Burke then filed a $75 million lawsuit against CBS for defamation. The case was settled in 2018, and while the terms of the settlement were not disclosed, his lawyer stated that the case was amicably resolved to the satisfaction of all parties. So it was a lot of like the father too being like, we really want to use this DNA to like, but the Boulder police was dragging their feet on using the new DNA stuff. But there's a recent update.
Oh, okay.
26 years after the initial crime.
Okay.
5 Boulder, Colorado police officers, including one of the original lead investigators in the case, have been disciplined after the internal audit found misconduct in the department's investigation division.
I mean, we knew that.
This is a quote from the city of Boulder said in a press release on Tuesday, December 6th. So literally 4 days ago, this came out. As a part of her ongoing reform efforts since she was hired, Police Chief Maris Harold requested the department review its case management system. While upgrading data and transitioning into a new open data portal, department officials became aware of the cases assigned to a particular detective that had not been investigated or investigated fully between 2019 and the present. The city says that after the issue was discovered, a professional standards unit investigation led to a determination that 5 officers, Detective Quam Williams and 4 supervising officers in his chain of command, had violated policy by not fully investigating cases warranting discipline that was imposed on November 1st. Commander Thomas Trulio, one of the lead investigators in the murder of 6-year-old Ramsey in 1996, received an involuntary transfer from the investigation unit to night patrol and a 3-day suspension. He was placed on a performance improvement plan. Commander Barry Hartkrop was given a 1-year letter of reprimand and is required to undergo additional training. While Sergeant David Spraggs retired by resignation, while Sergeant Bran Wynn was suspended for 1 day without pay, and Williams was suspended for 5 days without pay and reassigned from the investigation unit.
So you're telling me these 5 men have been in this investigation unit for 26 years?
Mm-hmm. They got transferred, though.
Now?
I regret that this happened and consider it a serious situation, Chief Harold said in the press release. We had an employee who apparently became overwhelmed. He has since been reassigned from the investigation unit. The city's police oversight panel had recommended the termination of all 5 officers, the release stated. Boulder spokesperson Sarah Huntley told Fox News that none of the cases that were not investigated or not fully investigated were homicide cases.
So they just like, nah, fam. We don't want to try. It's infuriating. Okay.
Yeah, so the spokesperson Huntley said, this is her quote, "Were leads not followed up, half-hearted effort, calls not returned, maybe DNA testing not pursued, calls of assistance ignored. This is time for fresh eyes." Huntley told Fox News in response to Ramsey's tweet that, because Burke Ramsey, after this happened, or not Burke Ramsey, Dad Ramsey, after this came out, literally tweeted and said a transfer is not a demotion. Like, they literally just transferred people out of the department. They didn't demote them. They didn't actually punish them.
I mean, one of them got night patrol. From investigator to night patrol, that's a fucking demotion.
Okay, but this person's daughter's still dead.
That's
because
true.
They fucked up. Like, more, please.
Yeah, more than one person should have got demoted. That's annoying.
In a statement to Fox News, Ramsey said he wished he was surprised by the news, but my experiments with BPD mirrors what was described as calls for disciplining the detectives.
I think he was just trying to say that he's not surprised because they are shitty.
Yeah, they're shitty and they're still shitty. But they are pushing towards, and I think this new chief police officer is like going to allow them to actually use the DNA. A lot of people say that they're dragging their feet because they think the police might be involved. So I don't know. But that's the update. We'll keep you posted on that. And that's my story of JonBenet Ramsey. It is still unsolved. It's a tragic
personal opinion. Who do you think did it?
I don't know. But why were there two different types of DNA? Because the dad may be covered up. But
I don't know.
Didn't they take the family's DNA?
I don't trust the evidence. I don't trust the evidence one bit.
I know.
I don't trust it.
Well, I mean, and they were able to fuck with it.
And it was said that Burke was a very mean child to his sister.
Yeah.
So
I mean, no, there were no drugs in her system. I was like, what if he like drugged her with the pineapple but there were no drugs in her system?
I don't know. That's the thing with this case. I don't trust the evidence because of the shitty
how bad
investigation job,
yeah.
How many people were allowed to just walk all over and touch everything in the crime scene.
There's so many.
Obviously,
things.
now the detectives were found incompetent or what have you, whatever their actions were towards this case. Like, the evidence is not trustworthy, in my opinion. All around, which is unfortunate
sucks because at that point, it's like
we'll probably never know.
Unsolved. Yeah, because even if they find something, like, is it real?
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's just unfortunate. Shitty.
That's our cheery Christmas episode. Oh, this is not my idea to do this, by the way. So
happy holidays. It was mine.
Yep. Okay, so that's it for this episode, guys. Happy holidays. I hope you have a great time, whatever you're getting into. If you like this podcast, don't forget to follow us. Leave a comment if you're watching on YouTube. Hi. Like and subscribe. We appreciate every single one of you. One day Nikki will be ready for her part.
You took a deep breath. I didn't know if you were going to talk more or not. You can also find us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok with our username at TTA Podcast. And in all of our bios is our link tree, which has our email. If you have any comments, concerns, ideas, hit us up. Let us know.
Let us know.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening, guys. So next week, we're going to be covering something special for the new year. Do we want to say what we're covering or just make it a surprise?
Make it a surprise.
We're going to be diving deep into something we've already talked about. There's an update on something and we keep you guys informed. So kind of like an early chaotic chat situation, but yeah. Come back next week to find out what it is.
Super fun.
With that, we're going to leave you with this inspirational quote.
Every piece of the universe, even the tiniest little snow crystal, matters somehow. I have a place in the pattern, and so do you. Thinking of all of you this holiday season.
Aw.
From us and T.A. Barron.
But mostly us.
Yes. Have a wonderful holiday season. You are not alone.
Love you guys. Nope. We're here for you.
Families are awesome, but sometimes they suck too. We feel you. Either way.
Yeah.
You are amazing. Don't let anything drag you down. You got this.
I need to listen to that on repeat next week. Thank you for that.
You got
but seriously,
this.
Love you guys. And we'll see you next week.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Bye.